You want to develop a stronger thought focus. So what I'm gonna be doing in this video, I'm gonna basically be I'm gonna be reading from just a lot of my notes and just a lot of different concepts I actually wrote down. So like for example, the brain is a complex organ with billions of cells called neurons. And what else? So just thinking new thoughts in general, it creates psychological and neurological changes within the brain, or just neurochemical changes within the brain. But that's just from thinking new thoughts. So like the more and more a person repeat new thoughts or they learn new things, they change their neurological or psychological brain structure, and you actually mold your brain into reflecting more of a genius brain. Because when you have a genius brain, that's what you call whole brain. Whole brain is when you synchronize both hemispheres, and you cross them and you interconnect them. So just from crossing your arms, because your left hand is connected to your right brain, but your right hand is connected to your left brain. So the left brain deals with it's responsible for dopamine, but it's also responsible for mathematics or logic or anything dealing with like writing or talking or speaking. That's dealing more so with the left brain. The right brain also deals with like creativity, art, music, emotion, compassion. That's more of the right brain. So the right brain, it relates more to serotonin. And serotonin deals with joy. It's the joy chemical. And the left hemisphere deals mainly with dopamine, which is more of a happy chemical. So there's a difference between being happy and being joyful. Now, people that possess a negative emotional addiction, or like if you have negative emotional habits and you're working towards transforming those negative emotional habits into being positive emotional habits, then the only way you can do that is by striving towards joy and not just happiness. Now, a person is happy usually when they're mainly unhappy. So when a person has a negative emotional habit, then they have happy moments because they're usually not happy. But when you're used to being in a state of happiness on a consistent basis, and you have positive emotion, or you have positive emotional habits, then you're more joyful because you experience that emotion on a consistent basis. So you don't want to be happy, you want to be joyful. So that's why, like, when you come around a lot of successful people, they're extremely joyful and they operate on a certain frequency. So when you come around high vibrational people, you don't have to deal with low vibrational petty ways or anything that's negativity or low dimensional. So you want to strive towards that joy. So like if you want to release that serotonin, like when a person wake up, it releases your when you see light, it releases serotonin, which is a chemical hormone, which is released into the bloodstream, and that's gonna give you that energized feeling, and it can even put you in a flow state. Um, but you don't want to have too much, and you don't want to have too less, whether it's dopamine or serotonin. And like every person must make sure they establish the goal for their thinking, because in order to become a mastermind, or in order to master your thinking or to master your reality, you must master your environment. Because when you master your performance, when you master your approach to life, and you establish a systematic approach to the way in which you want to think on a day-to-day basis, then you know what thoughts you want to consistently replay within your mind consistently throughout the day, because you already have it pre-established. And when you have a goal for your thinking, then you don't just focus on what to think, then you also focus on how to think. So like in school, they teach people what to think, but not necessarily how to think. So you want to know what to think and also how to think. So there's actually a scientific way to think, where it's called like critical thinking or scientific thinking. So you want to be scientific in your thinking, and you want to be scientific in your approach to life. And the more and more you're scientific, the more and more you have an open mind. When you have an open mind, you see situations from multiple different layers, multiple different frequencies, and multiple different dimensions and multiple different angles. So when you start to see yourself from that point of view, from multiple different angles, from multiple different points of views, then you can let go of that outdated negative perception of yourself because you didn't tapped into a more high vibrational mental perception of yourself. So you must let go of the past in order to introduce or bring the new into the present, because you want to experience a new energy, a new you. So you can pull from another world, and you can pull a different reality of another you from another world into this world. See, you have to understand, it's just like if you see my face and you're in another state, you have to understand that my energy is being transferred within a quickness or an instant. So that energy is being transferred. So energy, you can tap into energy from multiple different dimensions, and you can pull from multiple different dimensions. I can sit here and I can have a conversation with you all, and I can mentally tap into just high vibrational spiritual dimensions just from me pulling in a certain energy. So that's just like when you be in your reality. It's based upon interpretation. And if you smoke weed, if you smoke, or if you take any substance and it alters your perspective or your perception on reality, you're actually seeing reality from another dimension. Now, that's why people love to smoke or they love to drink. They love to see life from another dimension because they may not want to be within this dimension. But the key is not to escape, but to run towards it and to face yourself and to face this reality. The more and more you're present in the moment, the less and less you allow your negative past beliefs to interfere with your present. Because a lot of times we don't have the life that we want, or we don't have the level of confidence that we prefer, or we still have the self-doubt or the negative thinking or the negative emotions because we still believe negative things about ourselves based upon past experiences that were traumatizing or negative or unwanted. So when you learn how to not allow your past to affect your present, then you can utilize your present in order to move forward calculated. Now, the more and more you try to move forward calculated and your past is interfering with your present, then you can't move forward being clever or calculated or 3, 4, 5 steps ahead because your past is interfering with your present. So you have to release your past and release, because the self-doubt or the negative thinking or the negative thinking habits or emotional habits, it was all based upon a false assessment that you made when you was younger. So when you still have self-doubt and you've been dealing with negative thinking or negative emotions for years, then it carries over into the present because you have been reliving the past every day since that past moment that hurt you. So something hurts you and you can have like PTSD. Now, a person mentally is paranoid, or they have PTSD or paranoia, and that's when you expect everything to work against you. And that's when you just are over paranoid, or you assume a person's intent is negative. But my point is that when you expect everything to work against you based upon negative past experiences, then you're seeing the present through the eyes of the past. So you're constantly reliving the past because you're addicted unconsciously to negative emotions. So if you keep reacting, like, okay, if a situation keep triggering you, and every time you come around this person or a person say something, it triggers you. You have to understand that unconsciously, psychologically, you have a negative emotional addiction. So you can unconsciously seek to find or give yourself a reason to be upset, or find a scenario in your environment to make you dissatisfied within, in order for you to release certain chemistry from your brain into your bloodstream. So just like when a person is hungry, your stomach, it signals your brain and tell your brain to find something to eat. So also when a person hasn't, because it's just like when a person going to rage, they can go into a flow state, because adrenaline is also known to activate the flow state, whereas you move a certain way, you move at a certain pace, you move with a certain rhythm. So a person can enjoy their rage or their self-expression because, see, depression or self-doubt or negative thinking, that's what you call keeping your energy condensed. It's just like when people are depressed, they don't really move. Like when a person is stiff, they not really flexible, or their energy is not really flowing to their brain, so their brain is not high quality. So even if a person sleeps a lot, they're avoiding life or they're avoiding movement. Now the most intelligent people or the most effective people are people that's always in a constant motion, or they're always moving. Energy needs to always be moving. So depression is the lack of action. It's just like if you having a positive day, something triggers you and then you shut down. It's just like if you in public, you have social anxiety, and then you get nervous and then you shut down. When you shut down, that's more of deactivation. That's being inactive. You can be inactive or proactive. You can be a pro at being active moment to moment, second to second throughout the day. Now, when you master your reality, or you choose to strive towards mastering your thinking, then the key is within studying your thinking and studying every thought and knowing why you feel every feeling and every emotion second to second, moment to moment. Now, the more and more you are consciously engaged into every moment and every second all throughout the day, you have to understand that people live multiple different years. They live 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and they don't dedicate one day of their life towards analyzing every detail. So it's highly important to study your every movement, your every thought. So have you ever dedicated 1 hour towards remembering positive past experiences, or positive past memories, or positive rare spiritual magical signs? Have you relived positive past magical signs or synchronicities or spiritual messages? Like if you don't bring the past positivity into the present, then you're going to unconsciously automatically bring the past negativity into the present, because you have the conscious thinking, but then you have the subconscious, unconscious, automatic, unintentional thinking. So since it's unintentional, it plays against your will. So you can wake up in the morning and thoughts can just get the plan against your will, and you can be reminded of yesterday, and you can be bringing yesterday into today. Now the key is within being able to control your thought focus. It's all about thought control. Do you control your thinking, or do your thinking control you? Can a person come in your environment and trigger you and get you to think thoughts against yourself? Because if someone has a stronger energy than you, and your energy is scattered, and you haven't learned to master your flow or master your energy, then their energy can throw your energy off to whereas you lose thought control. So it's just like you driving. If you driving, you have to stay focused. You have to stay in your lane. But if you're focused on what somebody else think, or their muscles, or their abilities, or their strengths, then you unconsciously highlight their abilities over your abilities, and you underestimate your self-value, and you overestimate their self-worth and their self-value. Now, you never supposed to highlight someone else's characteristics and abilities over your characteristics and abilities. So never downplay yourself, never think small of yourself, never underestimate your self-value and overestimate somebody else's self-value. Always go out your way to think big of yourself. Always go out your way to stay focused in your lane. Like I told you, it's just like if you're driving. You have to stay focused in your lane. If you swerve it into somebody else's lane, then you lose thought control. But if you want to master your thinking, if you really want to control your thinking, you have to focus on your thinking about your thinking all throughout the day in order to be highly calculated. So it's all about being intentional. What is the goal for your thinking? What is the goal for your thinking? What is the goal for the energy that you want to bring into every room? What is the goal for the energy that you want to bring to the day? See, a lot of people wait on outside events to take place in order to feel extremely excited. Like, you have to know how to be a kid. You have to be free. You have to let go of that doubt. Let go of that negative thinking or low vibrational energy. So look at it this way: if you waiting to have a certain amount of money, or if you waiting on somebody to come to your crib, or for your partner to get off work, or if you waiting um for payday, no matter what it is, you waiting on an outside event in order to feel satisfied. If you waiting for a party, if you waiting for the summertime to feel turned up or excited or highly mentally elevated, then you delaying something that see, the only difference between when you decide to do something versus when you decide not to is that you decided. So you decide what makes one of the greatest moments in your life one of the greatest moments, and you decide if it's not. So every day is special because you are special. Now, the moment you think every thought you thought yesterday, or mainly a lot of thoughts that you thought yesterday, then you unconsciously bring yesterday into today. Like if you was in the same room, or if you've been up in a house for 5 days, and every day you wake up and you like, I'm tired of waking up in the same room. You know how you get that feeling and you tired of waking up in the same room? Now, it's a mental thing. Now, it's all about perspective, perception, and interpretation. You have to transform how you perceive your reality. So when you take things for granted unconsciously, then you can be thinking about all of the things you don't have, and you can be tired of your environment because you can be wanting something more. So you can be focusing on what you want and not focusing on what you have. But the moment you stop and you pause and you back up and be like, okay, I'm grateful for my surroundings. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. Then you take heed to the richness. You got to be rich in moments. You got to be rich in knowledge. You got to be rich in perspective. You have to be rich in heart and love and wisdom, and be rich in gratitude. Now, a scientific study shows that the most happiest people are the most grateful people. So the more and more you say, I'm grateful for this, or I'm grateful for that, the more and more you're basically embodying your wealth, your abundance. Because if I have multiple different things and I'm grateful for it, I'm basically celebrating my abundance, what I have. So when you're not focused on what you have, then God is going to say, why would I give you anything new if you're not thankful for what I have already given you? So the only way God going to bless you is if you're grateful for what you already have. Because God ain't going to keep blessing you if you ain't grateful for what God has already given you. So you have to transform your thought process and don't make your happiness about other people. It's not just other people. You may blame somebody else's action, but it's also you. It's also your thinking. It's also your response. You can be so used to a certain response that you're not actually utilizing all of your options. Your options may have been limited based upon what you have seen, or all of what you know, far as what you've seen within your environment growing up. So based upon what you have seen and haven't seen will determine how far you may be able to think. So environment is everything. It's just like a scientist. Like who I am in Chicago is different from who I am in St. Louis. If you take a certain animal, you take a lion out of Africa, or you get an elephant, you take an elephant out of Africa, and an elephant cannot perform, or its body is not functioning on the fullest level, or up to its fullest potential like it could. It's just like if you're not in a healthy environment, then all of your brain activity is not fully active. Then you can actually scientifically use 100% of your brain. Any person that believes that you can only use 10% of your brain, you cannot find no updated research that proves that. Now, all updated research shows that you can use 100% of your brain. It's actually an old science, an outdated science that says that you can only use 10%. Now, you have to know that every person uses different degrees and different levels or different aspects of their brain.